another Red Chair Chat. This week we have Kari Wyrsch with us. Hi, Kari.
Hello.
Thanks for being with me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about yourself, your journey of getting started into real estate, and then your transition to KW.
So I feel like it was a really long time ago. So I guess I got into real estate in 2005. I actually was working for a commercial real estate company. I really wanted to be a commercial agent. And I started off over there as an executive assistant to 3 of the commercial agents over there. I did that, got my license in 2007, and then started getting my GRI in 2009, got my broker's license in 2010. I was doing like all of the leasing and all of the things, and was just still in that kind of executive assistant role, and I kind of wanted a little bit more, I wanted to spread my wings and kind of go off a little bit on my own. So in 2009, I guess I met up with an individual agent that had he's a small broker. He was really small, like 6, 7 agents. And so I started working with him, and perfect timing, right? 2007, 2008,
Exactly.
2009. So I started in with him, and we did a lot of new construction. He had a lot of developments, and so we kind of were focused a lot on new construction, but again, not fully like individual agent on my own or anything like that. I sold my first house in October of 2009, and I was like, oh, this is it, I made it. And then I switched over to Keller Williams in 2012. I had been watching a lot of the agents over at KW. We were a growing market center, just kind of newer here. And I was like, what are they doing over there? And so I had met with Adam, of course, and Zach and Dan and Rhett, and talked to all of them who, were just doing so much business, and very envious of them. So I moved over in 2012. It was July 3rd, and had a rock solid, really great end of the year. And then in 2013, 15, and 16, I was top individual agent for the market center.
Wow.
So I did Ignite, I did all the classes, I really plugged in, and like my business like doubled, tripled, like all this.
Wow.
So it just was this really fast, accelerator for growth once I moved over here and got some training.
Yeah. So then you had the transition from individual agent, and then you built your own team.
I did. So in 2016, I told my husband, who he was a graphic designer for 15 years, and I was like, I need help. We had just had twins, and like it was just madness and craziness. And I got a coach in 2015 whenever I was pregnant, because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I could have these babies anytime. Like I need somebody to keep me
on track.
Yeah. And so in 2016, I had him get his license, and I was like, I'm pulling you into this crazy world. And in 2017, I decided I was going to have a team. Yeah. So at that time, I'd hired Kelsey in 2015 as well, whenever I was pregnant. And so then at that time, I kind of was like, okay, let's see what this looks like as a team. And so Justin was helping me, and then I had Kelsey, and then we brought on Courtney. And so we just kind of grew that team, and we did really, really great. In 2017, we did 88 transactions for 15 million, and I mean, it was a great year. Yeah.
When I first joined KW, that's when you had the team.
Okay.
And so it was fun to get to know you at that point. But then not shortly after, maybe a year later, then you made the transition to you and Adam becoming business partners.
Yeah, so I've known Adam for a long, long time, and back in like high school even, like we knew each other, and he was always somebody that I would reach out to, I respected. He helped me hire, he helped me fire, he helped me grow. He was just somebody that I always was like, I've got to make this decision. What do you think? So I kind of like thought of him as a mentor. And he called me one day, and it was like, it was 2018. I think it was May, and he was like, hey, can you meet me and go have lunch? And I was like, yeah, of course, like whatever. And so whenever we sat down, he was just like, what does this look like if we are in business together? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? The team aspect really was something that was still kind of new, and like still like ground level. It hasn't really been built, especially in our area. Yeah. And he was like, what does this look like if you and I, we work together. And so we basically just we spread out papers, and he made an org chart, and he was like, Justin can go here, and Kelsey can go here, and Courtney can go here. And it really was so crazy because it was like he had a bunch of holes in his business for growth, and I did too. There was a lot of things that I really needed help with leverage. I had 2.5-year-old twins, and my business was going up. It just was like, what does this look like if we change the trajectory and we can do this faster? And it took a couple meetings.
Yep.
I had to talk to my coach and talk to Justin and everything else. But when we finally said yes, let's do it, we basically just put our foot on the gas pedal, and there was no looking back.
Yeah.
And I just think of it like we were going down a freight train, and things were, the wheels are flying off the rails.
Yeah.
Or
what a visual.
And that's what made us build these systems so fast. And in 2017, he had done 100. His buyer's agent at the time, with his team, they were at 107 buyers that they'd helped that year. And so I've helped grow that to 264 buyers.
I think I remember the exact moment when it clicked for you and Adam that maybe the team thing was a thing. It was ALC meeting. We were at the Vandervoort in the conference center, and everybody was going through on ALC and sharing their struggles with business. And I remember Adam saying, her holes is what I can fill, and vice versa, and we can help bring our strengths and weaknesses together and really bond them together.
We had been on ALC together, on and off 3 or 4 years around. And if he was sitting here and describing it, he would say that he would literally listen to me talk about the hiccups or the bumps or the struggles, and he would be like, I can fix that. I can fix that. I can fix that. And I remember it was just about being in your 20%. And he literally stood over me one day. I'll never forget it. I was standing at my desk, and he was just like, I'm going to take that away from you. I'm going to take that away from you. I'm going to take that away from you. And I was like, what are we going to do if you take all of this stuff?
This is mine.
But, I'm a controlling personality. A lot of us are in real estate.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it just kind of, we meshed together, and our teams worked really well together, and we just built this culture that's just, it's thriving. It's just so much fun.
So let's go back to what you said. You said 264 buy-side units.
Yes.
There's so many agents in our market that don't even close 264 units combined, list side and buy side. How did you build this buy side empire?
It just became system based, and everybody wants to know what's the sexy sauce and what's the fast answer, and the answer is it's systems. And basically, I'm really good at building systems, and I'm a driver, and I move really, really, really fast. And so anytime that something fell between the cracks or there was a hole, I was like, build a system around it, can't ever happen again. How do we make this super, super seamless? And so, we were doing things, and I'm like, this isn't working anymore. We need to transition this. And it's just constantly inspecting what you expect through your systems, not only with your people. And I think that was the thing, I just was like, we're building a system around that, we're building a system around that, and we dissect and stare at that all the time. I think as agents, we get into that dinosaur mode where it's like, this is how we've always done it. Yep. Well, the market's not how it's always done it. And if you're not going to change with the market, then you're going to be left in the past. And so, even with the market changing in the past 30 months that we've been in, looking at conversion numbers and looking at your numbers and tracking your numbers, it changed. I all of a sudden was tracking how many contracts written to how many I was getting under contract, because I needed to build a system, or I was realizing what do I need to be doing to be winning all these offers? And I knew what my percentages are. I'm 75%. It's actually 74.8% of my contracts written to accepted, and it still is that way. And we started then, doing backup offers and tracking all that, and now we're tracking contingencies. So I think it's just constantly tweaking the things that are working for you, so that it's amazing. Once you have awareness around something, it just almost resolves itself. But until you realize we have a problem right here, it's just going to continue to go.
I don't know if I've met anybody like you that is so numbers focused, but you also have a Rolodex of memory of like, oh, I can talk about this transaction when I first got my license, or this house, or this and that. But then knowing your numbers to a T, you said you've had spreadsheets and you look at it every single day, multiple times a day. So even spouting out 74.8%, you know where your business is at all times.
I do, and you know, I run the buy side, and so what that looks like is I have 2 showing partners, and then I have Justin does all my listings because I'm so involved with all the buyers. It's hard for me to do listings because I mean there's a lot that goes into that too. And then we've got 2 listing agents underneath Adam, so there's 7 of us in production. But you know, I do all of their numbers and I track all of their stuff, and we do 411s every other week, and they're meeting with me.
Wow.
And so we're staring at that every single, you know, every other week, and I'm getting them to where they're staring at it every single day. You know, what's the goal? What's the gap? You know, Bo even today is like, I've got to write 5 offers a week. You know, he knows exactly where he needs to be. And then, you know, every single Tuesday we're meeting, and it's like, who are your active hot buyers? Who are you putting under contract this week? You know, and I think that once the business starts growing to what it is, I had a MAPS coach once that like gave me this document, and I have it upstairs, but it's basically like, if you want to do 50 transactions, these are the things that you need to do. If you need to do 75 transactions, if you want to do 100 transactions, if you want to do 200 transactions. And it literally is just resetting and recalibrating your goals. And so people always ask me, like, how do you do the amount of business that you do? And I said, every night I start at 0. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I have to do 1, right? Or I have to do 2, or I have to write 6 contracts, you know? I mean, whatever that number is to fill that gap, I think is just really important, because you've got to always know where you're going, but then, you know, what that gap is.
How do you keep yourself motivated and avoid burnout as you're going, building this?
I don't know. It's kind of weird. It really is almost like I fall asleep and I wake up and I'm completely rejuvenated. And, you know, I've become a total like book nerd, podcast nerd. You know, I just like, that's my morning routine, and I get a lot of energy from that. I get a lot of energy from just talking to people and getting that excitement of, you know, doing strategy sessions, and they come in and they meet with me and I'm like, oh, I'm going to find them this house. You know, they're a $125,000 FHA buyer. Like, I know that I can help them. Like, that excites me. And it's something that I'm really, really proud of, because, you know, just last month, in April, we put 61 people under contract.
Wow.
Buyers and sellers.
Wow.
And like, that's awesome. And it's like, you know, it's first-time home buyers, and it's move-up buyers, and it's move-down buyers, and it's people getting married, and, you know, people having babies, and it's like, that's just so much fun. And I just think we have such a rewarding job, and like, to be a part of like those monumental things with people, it's just, it's like what it's all about. And I just get so excited about it. So
with
I geek out with the numbers and then people. So
it's like your 2 favorite things.
I know.
So with all of your success, how do you stay on track to still stay in the real estate space? So as you're successful, other opportunities I'm sure pop up and say, hey, you want to be a part of this. You've kept yourself very disciplined to say, this is what I'm going to focus on. How do you do that?
I think that's my one word, is discipline. You know, last year my word was progress. This year my word is discipline. And I do just have this really regimented, I mean, my schedule is the same, and I do the same thing every single day. I eat the same things every single day. Like, I'm probably the most, I want to say, boring person, because it's like, I'm so predictable. You know, you can look at my calendar and say, where is she Monday at 5:30? Well, I'm at hot yoga. Like, I am very, very non-negotiable appointments and very disciplined. And I think in the real estate space, I feel such a huge accountability for my team and like what they want, and to make sure that they get their successes and that they hit their income goal and that they can provide for their families and that they're happy. That's like basically what fuels me. You know, Gary says, I do, we do, they do. And I think that I'm very much like, I want success through others with them so bad that that's probably the hardest part, is that whenever you have somebody that comes into business with you and you want it more than they do.
That's so hard.
It's like excruciating, because I'm just like, why don't you want this? Like, I can get you where you want to be, but you know, they have to want it. And so I think that, for the real estate side of it, I'm just not big into shiny objects. I've got some opportunities, but my one thing, if you were to talk to anybody, I will not deviate from like what I'm supposed to do daily to move the business forward. And if I find out that something's going to distract me and take away from me being able to pour into our team, then I probably am not going to be the best fit for it. So
that's a big awareness that you have about yourself, though, because they're shiny objects. It sounds great, and it's going to be kind of like real estate agents. They want the next best thing to get them more business, and if they tap into that, but it's not always, the grass is always greener.
Well, what's the one book, it's the one thing.
Yep.
And I was listening to somebody yesterday that he hit it on the head where he was like, I was the yes guy. I was like, oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And the next thing you know, I've got 10 businesses and they're all stagnant and none of them are growing. And I was just like, if I could just do this one thing and do it really, really, really good, that's life changing.
Yeah.
And he said, I sold everything and now I'm doing this one thing, and it has propelled him. Right?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's kind of been where I am, where it's just like, I'm just so dialed into this. And I want to feel success through that, and I just don't know that I've conquered that yet.
It's very much a vertical going deep within your business versus a horizontal spreading yourself too thin.
Well, it is, because so many teams, like if you think about it, you go to Mega Camp, you go to Family Reunion, you hear people are doing 560 transactions and they've got 30 agents in production. You do the math, like you figure that out really, really quick, and you're like, well, is that really moving someone's meter? And, that's one thing that's really, really amazing about Adam is he just wants to make his world big enough for all of us to live in it. And he realizes that means that everybody has to go deep versus wide, because, someone coming on our team and doing, 2 transactions a month, that's not going to move anybody's meter. And so he wants life-changing opportunities for people. And I think that, I have even come to our buy side and I'm like, hey, I think it's time that we bring somebody else in. We've got enough leads. And they'll push back on me. And they're like, I can handle it. I want more. I want to make more. I can handle more, right? And, you bring on another person, and as long as the leads are there, then it's not going to make a difference. But, you're potentially changing income and production for people. So you have to buy in from everybody.
Yeah, wow.
We do. We all have a big capacity, and I think that that's kind of one of the things that sets us apart.
I feel like what I've heard from your team is everybody's all in. That's the term that you've used, that you're going to do whatever it takes to get the job done, to get you to, as a team, where you want to go.
Yeah, we're all in all the time. We run a team-dependent model. We're not an independent model, which is what a lot of other teams and brokerages and everything else run. So we have 14 on the admin side, and then we have 7 agents in production. And that's how we're able to do that, is because our support is so big for our agents. And I think that's really important. And I think that people will come to us and they'll say, I want to be on your team. And we are a shiny object, right? We are the shiny object. People are like, oh, I want to do that. Well, then whenever you meet with us and you have to see what we do and how hard we work and how dedicated we are, it's not for everybody.
The visual I have in my mind is like the iceberg. Like, you only see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the foundation that's built underneath the water to build your organization the way it is now.
We are all just grinders, but the best thing about it is, like, we have the best culture, and I'm always so impressed with, all of our community give backs that we do. And we've got food day happening, like Christina is our food day person, and then we've got like our, team events where we go bowling, or we go do, we go have fun with each other. And it is pretty incredible. Like, if you know our team, we're kind of like a group of best friends. There's like all of our transaction managers and our marketing director, like, they go to concerts together, or they go on huge trips together. They went to Vegas not too long ago. I'm like, where is everybody? We've got like 5 people out. But I think that says something for us. It's like, whenever you're going to spend 80% of your work week, work month, life, year with, being at the office, and then to be able to say that that's who you're spending time with all the time outside of work, I think it says something about our culture, which is really cool.
That's huge. So how is your evolution from buyer's agent since joining the team? So now that you have 2 people showing assistance with you, what does your main 20% within your role look like now?
I mean, so my main role is to move the business forward. So I do strategy sessions, and that's pretty much, you know, my big one thing. I've already done 112 buyer strategy sessions this year alone.
Wow.
Aaron the other day was like, we need to get you to do more. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. But, you know, strategy sessions, and then I have a whole system that's built around that and all the things that I do afterwards, and including passing them to the showing partner. And then, you know, setting them up on searches and helping with all of, you know, whenever they're ready to make their offer. And then I sprinkle in from contract to close, but then I'm also drumming up new business, focusing on investors, because investors are one of the hardest things, and it's a really hard thing to give to a showing partner because they'll run you all over.
Yeah.
So I've got them really dialed in ways that I handle our investors. So, you know, it's going on appointments, it's scripted role playing, it's lead generating, it's negotiating contracts, and you know.
So your strategy sessions, what you're calling like buyer's consultations?
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I have called it a strategy session from the beginning. You know, I've got all kinds of different buzzwords that I think are super important, because, you know, when you're talking to somebody who's a sign call, and an ISA is on the phone, and inside sales associate is answering the sign call. And we get tons of sign calls. Everybody always says, sign calls, what is that? And we get them. That's one of our highest lead sources. But yeah, I mean, it's why don't you come in, and Kari's gonna have a strategy session with you and get really, really clear on what it is exactly that you're looking for. I always say I want to ask you 100 questions so I can show you 3 houses versus showing you 100 houses because I only asked you 3 questions. It's a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
And in the market that we've been in, like whether it was right before COVID or not, the strategy session to me has become more and more and more and more important. And as inventory goes up, it's so important for you to know exactly what that person wants. And when you can figure out what their pain points are, what they don't want, it saves everybody time, and it makes you the professional.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in a professional market that we're in right now, and that people expect you to know how to run your business like a business, but then feel confident and comfortable that you're going to get them their dream.
Wow.
It's really important.
That's so cool, of setting those boundaries and expectations right away, and then that way, like you said, you're not getting run ragged going to all these different houses.
Because the second that you, like, when we set the precedent, like, we're gonna show you 4 houses, and the second that we get to 6 and 7 and 8 houses, all it does is create buyer fatigue. They're losing confidence in you, they're not trusting the process, and it's making them be like, what am I missing, right? But whenever we can say, hey, remember how you didn't want to be on a busy street, I looked that up and that's right there, why don't you go drive by, and we can eliminate that, and it saves everybody time. You know, you're asking the seller to leave their home, you're asking the agent to schedule an appointment, you're asking your buyer to get off of work, and you could have resolved all of that if you would have listened and had a strategy session and really gotten into exactly what that person is needing. I always say it slows, if you slow everything down, it speeds up the process. Yeah. And it's something that I feel like everybody misses. You know, they get the phone call, I want to see 123 Main Street, I'll be there in 30 minutes, and it's really becoming a nationwide issue. You know, that's like a whole nother conversation we can have. Yep. Of like, what is the benefit of a buyer's agent, and you know, it just, the value gets diminished, and then you're immediately putting them in the driver's seat, and they're basically going to treat you the way that has completely started off. So if you slow everything down, you spell everything out, you set the buyer expectations, and then you're in control, and everything's very clear, it makes the whole process so smooth.
I love that. Wow, that's so good. So you had mentioned sign calls are one of your highest lead sources. What are your top 3 for your team?
Past clients. I mean, past clients. You know, we are very intentional with them. I mean, Adam, I'm working with one of Adam's past clients. This will be his 17th house that he's bought from Adam.
My goodness.
And then once we find him something, then he'll sell, so that'll be 18. I mean, we are here to build clients for life, you know. I will never show up and say, here's my, you know, congratulations, here's your house, and never going to talk to you again. Like, you know, you are now important to us, and you're going to be a client for us, and we're going to invite you to all of our, you know, VIP events and all of the fun things that we do, and we're going to constantly stay in touch. And I think that's so important. So we want the
So client events is what you, and then are those touches that you're also,
Yep.
How do you stay in touch with them?
Our ISA department is, I mean, top notch. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. And they reach out to our clients, and especially in the past, you know, couple of years that we've been in, all those care calls that we've been doing, just checking in with people. There's so much, you know, buyer uncertainty, seller uncertainty, just, you know, calling and having conversations around that. It really just kind of like makes people, everybody wants to know about what's going on in the market. So those conversations are really, really easy, but they're easy touches. So that's a huge source for us. And then we do get a ton of sign calls. I know that everybody always thinks that that's really, really weird. We've got, you know, all of our online type stuff too, but our main focus is those two.
Yeah. And that's what in the MREA it says you should focus on listings because of those sign calls would then result in potential buyers.
Yeah.
It's the biggest focus for that. So when you're saying KW and you've moved to KW and it transformed your business, why do you still stay KW? Like, how does it re-engage you?
I just think that it's really, really amazing, like the access that you have to people, and then just the events that we do, family reunion, mega camp. I mean, anytime I go to those, I always feel like I like, it fills my cup, and I'm like, wow, and I'm always just so amazed at the talent that KW has, and I'm all about, you know, the numbers, and I geek out with that kind of stuff, and so like the vision speeches and stuff like that, like I just get so excited about. I always love the speakers that they bring in. The training that goes on throughout the year I think is really, really cool, and just the culture that we have. I mean, you guys just had an ice cream truck down here. I mean, how fun is that? I mean, we've got over 450 agents here at KW, and you know, you guys here at the Market Center are just doing whatever we can to like get people, you know, feeling good. And I think that that's what's really, really interesting to me is I listen to all these different types of things about different brokerages and everything else, and what the number one thing that people want right now is like the brick and mortar and the face to face. They want to feel this that we're doing right now. They want to be knee to knee, you know, and they want to have conversations. And I think that there was this big kind of boom of, you know, it's really cool to have a cloud-based brokerage and you can be in your basement in your underwear and sell real estate. And I heard that. I don't do that. I heard that online.
I was like, wow, that's interesting.
But I'm here every day with clothes on. But I think that there was like this big boom that like this was really, really desirable. And now that everybody's kind of been in that or felt that from what I hear, because that's not me. Yeah. But people want this face to face, and they want to be in a training room, and they want to learn, and they want to go to classes, and they like that interaction. I think is so important, and so I think that's what KW is just the best part about it.
And if you think of companies maybe not real estate specific, like an Amazon, they are now going to brick and mortar businesses as well because they've realized the value of being able to have this face-to-face interaction. There's only so much you can do online. So I love that perspective of it, and just being able, what we're seeing is the community.
Yeah.
People want to be a part of something.
They want to be a part of something.
And we've, in the last couple of years when we haven't been able to do that, and really it's been through Zoom or through screen, it makes it so hard to feel that connection regardless if it's within your work or an activity that you're a part of.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's always an honor to interview you.
This is super fun.
So next week we'll be back for our Red Chair Chat. Bye!